the artist who created the mural a few weeks ago. Police say surveillance video shows a man early Sunday morning throwing a bucket of red paint on the letters E and S from the word lives. Here is a closer view of the suspect police are looking for. Something similar happened Monday morning to the Black Lives Matter mural in New York City.
And we expected that something like this was possible. We thought that we could have protected it by now.
City Council member Greg Landsman released a statement today that says, "We've been working with the administration and Councilman Pastor on a fix, how to turn this section of Plum into a pedestrian-friendly plaza and how to allow the artist to fix the mural. It's unclear when or if that will happen." Nearby resident Peter Clement was at the mural the day after its completion.
And seeing like tears in the eyes of black folks, and it was just an incredibly moving experience for them, for me.
But now to see this.
I'm saddened just to see, the vandalism. Whoever did that, the intent is terrible.
I think someone does this in protest, right? Someone who disagrees that Black Lives Matter.
The artists are not planning on repairing the mural right now until they know for sure that the city has a plan in place to protect other incidents like this from happening again. Now, the city does say that they are working in collaboration with the local urban league and the artists to work on repairs to fixing the mural. In downtown Cincinnati, Raven Richard, WCPO 9 News.
Well, attorneys for the family of George Floyd filed a federal civil lawsuit today against the city of Minneapolis and the police officers involved in his death. Floyd died May 25th after former officer Derek Chauvin used his leg to pin Floyd's neck to the ground for nearly 9 minutes. Attorneys claim the city allowed police training and action that is unconstitutional and has marginalized black men for years. This is a civil lawsuit separate from the criminal case against the 4 police officers charged in Floyd's death. They say this lawsuit is more about accountability, though, than money. The Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy charged with assault after kicking an inmate has been fired. Sheriff Jim Neal says an investigation found Sergeant Jesse Franklin used excessive force. That incident happened last month at the Justice Center. Security video shows deputies forcing Nick Ballacino to the ground after he resists officers. Investigators say he tried to bite Sergeant Jesse Franklin's boot, and that's when Franklin proceeded to kick him in the head. Ballacino's attorney says he suffered a concussion and required 5 stitches at the hospital. A construction worker has died after being hit by a construction truck in Hamilton. This happened just before 7 this morning on Eaton Avenue between Mark and Haldemard Avenue. At this time, the name of the victim has not been released. OSHA is investigating.
From park to porch, how a local summer concert series is adapting.
Somebody told me that they were like, it's going to get harder before it gets easier, but it does get easier and it does get better.
She's overcome the hardships of the foster care system and is now getting some help with the future. Her story and how she hopes it inspires others like her. Steve?
Yeah, Tanya, 89 degrees outside right now. We're talking about a forecast, though, that's going to go much hotter than that. And I've got storms in the forecast by tomorrow morning. My timeline on the other side of the break.
Much like everything else these days, a summertime staple in Clifton is adapting for the pandemic. The Clifton Cultural Arts Center is taking its annual Wednesdays in the Woods virtual, streaming live concerts each week. Reporter Marielle Carbone has more on the changes and how you can tune in.
Love is bright as ever.
During a typical summer, music fills Burnett Woods once a week on Wednesdays.
Music is a spiritual exchange. It's a tool of the soul, sometimes a weapon of the soul.
Before they turn the lights out.
But this year,
I think we just adapt to the times the best way we can.
things are a bit different. Instead of live shows here, they're being held here on Facebook Live. Local artist Lauren Elise performed for the concert series last month. She says it's vital to bring music to people during the pandemic, even if it's virtually.
People need to feel hopeful. They need to feel inspired. You know what I mean? Like, Staying in the house gets real old.
The concert series has transitioned from Wednesdays in the woods to Wednesdays on the porch, and the Clifton Cultural Arts Center is encouraging people to tune in at 7 p.m. right from their own front porch or patio.
So it was really a matter of innovation by necessity.
Leslie Mooney is CCAC's executive director.
The biggest thing that CCAC does is bring people together. So yeah, this has been a particularly difficult time.
She says the Facebook Live concerts, in a way, bring even more people together. Listeners tune in from all over the country.
It's been very encouraging to see how many people have tuned in, how many people are sharing the videos.
Bringing a sense of hope to people near and far. Every Wednesday with a different artist.
All of us want to continue to encourage people to be, to make it through all of this.
There are a lot of other things going on in the world that are really oppressing the spirit. So I think the only way to sort of lift people, one of the most powerful ways, I should say, is through music.
In Clifton, Marielle Carbone, WCPO 9 News.
The Cincinnati Museum Center will reopen to the public and will turn on that iconic fountain at Union Terminal on Friday. There will, of course, be some changes to keep guests safe and staff safe, too. Once inside, masks are required and time tickets will help manage the museum's capacity. Over the last couple of months, the museum's been working to make some of its more interactive exhibitions safer during these times.
So you just download a free app, you scan a screen, and it pops right up on your phone so you can manipulate those touch screens. There's audio involved.
Big exhibits like the Dinosaur Hall, the Space Exploration Gallery, Cincinnati in Motion, and the OmniMax Theater will open this weekend, but the Children's Museum is not open for now. To kick things off Friday, there will be a mini performance by the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. I bet they'll be glad to play, too. Well, a young girl overcoming the hardships of foster care system is hoping her story will inspire others. Zaya Whitfield, who grew up in the foster care system, said she was sexually assaulted when she was 7 years old, but that does not define her story. She told her struggles of abuse, neglect, and facing down the foster care system in this video. It is a video that has earned her a $1,500 Francis Hook Scholarship from the Where to Next Foundation, and that money will be used for her to go to college.
It's literally the story of my life. All the times that I wanted to quit, all the times I wanted to give up, and I just kept going. Like, everything I've been through has just made me a stronger person.
Now, she is on her way to Central State University this fall, where she will study criminal justice. Another hot day, I'd say, Steve, actually a scorcher. And we're currently under an air quality advisory. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, that's actually across greater Cincinnati right now. That's up until midnight tonight. In other words, it's the kind of situation where we end up needing to stay away from any lawnmowers and things that put out any kind of pollutants in the atmosphere. We have high pressure around. That's going to be in place. So that's out until midnight. Now, as we look at the forecast ahead, the big thing for us is going to be the showers and storms that move into the morning here for the tri-state. In fact, as you take a look at our 9 first warning Doppler, you'll notice the rain and storms that are out to the west-northwest of us. Now, some of that is going to fade as it gets over the top of us because our atmosphere is a bit drier, but I do expect to see some scattered and isolated showers and storms as the front starts fading over the top of us. So expect some isolated storms for tomorrow in the morning and afternoon. We'll pinpoint that here in a second. The front itself will continue across the tri-state, and it looks like right now it'll fall south of us. So we do have a chance for seeing some showers and storms, but I think what will happen is it will be far enough south where it's probably going to affect more of the Lexington area and up through about Charleston or so. For us then on Friday, we just continue with the hot and humid weather, and it'll continue to progress where we end up seeing really hot and overwhelming conditions. I think by Sunday we could be looking at a heat advisory by then. Something to think about now so you can plan accordingly, because that heat really is going to kick in. All right, let's pinpoint what's going to be happening then with that system heading in toward us for tomorrow. As we look at it, you'll notice overnight we only start picking up some clouds, and then by about 4 o'clock in the morning or so, we could see some scattered showers. Now, it's scattered and isolated. It's not a washout. You'll notice there'll be some breaks in the clouds, and that's where we could run into some showers and storms blowing up in the afternoon with some torrential rain, and there's a marginal risk of severe weather coming up for tomorrow. 89 degrees outside now. Some spots are a little hotter. It's going to be a warm and muggy and frankly uncomfortable night. Temperatures are only going to drop to the 70s overnight, and then we'll go back up around 90 degrees or low 90s tomorrow. But of course, that's only half the story. You add in the humidity, you get that heat index, and some areas will be feeling like the mid 90s for tomorrow. And as I say, it's only going to get worse around here closer to about Sunday. 72 degrees for the overnight in Cincinnati, and then coming for tomorrow, I'm looking for temperatures that'll be in the 90s, but the bigger issue, of course, will be the morning rain and storms and that chance in the afternoon. Winds will be up a little bit around the tri-state. My 7-day forecast then, 90s right into about Saturday. Friday, Saturday, more of a slight to about 30% chance. A better chance for some rain and storms Sunday. Sunday and Monday will be the peak of the heat. That's where it's going to feel perhaps like close to 100 degrees, Tanya.
Wow. Oh, man, not looking forward to that, Steve. Thanks. Well, disability should not keep someone from voting come November, so one group is making sure everyone who has the right to vote is able to do so. We'll show you how. This week is National Disability Voter Registration Week, and making sure everyone with the right to vote is able to vote was the focus of Ohio's Ready for November task force. The director of the Department of Developmental Disability says there's a lot of myths and rumors about voting when it comes to those with developmental disabilities, and that's why Jeff Davis says there needs to be a focus on information, education, and the opportunity to tear down barriers to voting.
There may have been barriers put in place that were intentional, right? Why should you vote, or can you vote, or do you have the ability to? There is still a belief out there, in certain areas where if I have a guardian, I'm not allowed to vote. Well, that's not true. That's a myth, right? And so you overcome those myths and you give people those opportunities.
Almost 2 million of Ohio's 11.7 million residents identified themselves as having a disability. One solution the task force is considering is hiring people with disabilities, especially those recently disabled, to go through training to become a poll worker for November's election. Well, economists say international students have a lot to contribute to the U.S. economy. This comes as the Trump administration reverses its decision to send international students to their home countries if they don't attend in-person classes. According to the Department of Commerce, international students contributed about $45 billion in 2018, most of it in the form of tuition. If the administration had implemented its order, it could have cost the U.S. economy tens of billions of dollars as well as thousands of jobs. Insurers and employers are facing some uncertainty when it comes to health spending. Because of coronavirus, they are having trouble estimating these numbers for next year. Employers with major insurers are reporting premium rate increases of at least 3% next year. But they say delayed care may cause more medical claims in 2021. And that means the cost of medical care could go up by more than 10%. Small Black-owned businesses hit hard by the pandemic. Next, WCPO 9 News has a look at the struggle to stay open and find help.
There's an assumption that they might not pay it back. They might go into red. I think the stereotype is that certain black businesses aren't managed very well.
Small Black-owned businesses were some of the hardest hit when the COVID-19 pandemic pushed officials to force closures. Tonight, what they went through and why experts believe these businesses found themselves struggling to find help. Thanks so much for staying with us. I'm Tanya O'Rourke. We're going to get to that story in a moment. First, all eyes are on this man and Columbus right now. We're waiting for Governor Mike DeWine to give us an update on the state's COVID-19 situation. In 1 hour, we will get an update on the counties under a mask mandate that includes Hamilton, Butler, and Claremont counties. The governor canceled his afternoon briefing yesterday without explanation, but his team said there was no emergency. Now, when he speaks at 5:30, we will, of course, carry his address live on air and online. And while it's unclear what specifically will be discussed, there are questions about a possible statewide mask mandate. But Ohio's new public health advisory system already covers that. There are 4 levels, and most counties are at levels 1 and 2. Once a county hits level 3, a mask mandate automatically goes into effect. Hamilton, Butler, and Claremont counties are all at level 3, but the governor has said Hamilton's getting close to level 4, that purple level. We don't know exactly what happens once a county hits level 4. 7 indicators determine which level a county falls under. They are new cases per capita, sustained increases in new cases, proportion of cases not congregated cases, and sustained increases in ER visits, increase in outpatient visits, increase in hospital admissions, and ICU bed occupancy, quite a few. Now, another story we are following right now. Police are looking for the person accused of vandalizing the Black Lives Matter mural in front of Cincinnati City Hall. CPD says somebody defaced the mural with red paint early Sunday morning. The artists behind the project tell us they're not planning to do any work on the mural till the city does something to prevent a similar incident. Cincinnati spokesperson says they're looking into repairs with the help of artists and community partners. Now to the rebound. Pandemic business closures hurt a number of small businesses across the country and right here in the tri-state. And some of the hardest hit were small Black-owned businesses, many of which had trouble accessing federally funded programs that could help them stay in business. WCPO 9 News reporter Whitney Miller takes a deeper look at what it was like for some of those businesses struggling to stay open.
When businesses were being forced to shut down due to the pandemic, the federal government offered the Payment Protection Program loan to help businesses and their staff stay financially afloat. But as it turns out, securing those loans wasn't easy.
I was worried about my employees. How are they going to survive this?
Beyond Exercise founder Eric Oliver had to think fast when COVID-19 forced city leaders to mandate the shutdown of gyms in the area.
People aren't coming to the doors. We're not making any money.
Right away, Oliver started looking at ways to keep his business and staff financially afloat. One of his ideas was applying for the Paycheck Protection Program.
And we were able to secure that loan on the first round.
Oliver says that was thanks to his knowledgeable banker.
She helped us through the initial process, which was extremely stressful at first, just because the rules were, it seemed like it was changing, the applications.
That is the secret stuff.
But over in Norwood, it wasn't a loan that would keep AJ's Cheesesteaks open.
It's been the community 100% that has come out, that has supported us.
Ty Velez owns the popular food truck and says he originally tried to get the PPP loan but was denied.
We're a small business. Our budgets are smaller, our payrolls are smaller. So I think the lack of relationship that goes with that business and that bank, which kind of prevented us from not getting callbacks, from not getting any kind of return emails.
But AJ's Cheesesteaks wasn't alone. Eric Kearney with the local African American Chamber of Commerce says many small Black-owned businesses had trouble securing PPP funds.
About 30% have received money.
He says there are a number of reasons why the businesses he serves struggle to get the loan. The biggest factor being a lack of relationships with bankers, lawyers, and accountants.
90% of African American owned businesses are usually 1 or 2 people, so they're very small businesses.
He says because of limited resources, they are usually not able to focus on back office type details. Kearney believes today's social climate is highlighting some of those discrepancies and gaps.
What we have to concentrate on in Greater Cincinnati is relationship building. And that is between large and small businesses, white and people of color businesses.
Ty says his business could have really used that loan money, but he keeps on pushing, even though it hasn't been easy.
It definitely wasn't. We definitely had the support of our Norwood neighbors, our local police department, our local city council.
Whitney Miller, WCPO 9 News.
The local African American Chamber of Commerce is currently working on more programs, that promote building the relationships they feel will help these small businesses succeed if we happen to have another shutdown. Learn more about how they're trying to help on WCPO.com. Glee actress Naya Rivera died from drowning. That's a result from an autopsy. The medical examiner's report ruled her death an accident. So far, there are no signs of alcohol or drugs in her system, but toxicology tests are still pending. Rivera's body was recovered from a California lake on Monday after she disappeared while swimming with her young son. Investigators say they believe she used her last ounce of energy to boost her son back onto the boat before she drowned. More businesses are making masks mandatory inside stores. They include Sam's Club, Walmart, and Starbucks. Walmart will have employees who specifically handle interacting with shoppers who don't have a mask. Sam's will offer complimentary masks. And starting today, customers at Starbucks will need to use the drive-thru or curbside if they do not have a face covering. Kroger just tweeting moments ago, in fact, that they will start mandatory mask wearing inside their stores starting next Wednesday. An Ohio bakery is getting backlash over a controversial sign that it had posted in its window. It read, quote, "The second lockdown isn't happening," and warned, when you gave a pass to rioters and looters, you gave up your right to boss around citizens. It also called for, quote, "No more masks, no more frantic warnings about viruses, and no more stay-at-home or closed businesses," before going on to say, "We have no intentions of respecting any new little laws or civil orders." The owner removed the sign after seeing the outrage it caused online, but she says she still stands by the message.
If we're allowing looters and rioters to run rampant and not saying that that's wrong, and not allowing small businesses to open, I do have a problem with that.
The bakery now has a new sign that says, "America, land of the free because of the brave." Several airlines are blocking middle row seats. Ahead, we're going to take a look at the risks of using that middle seat and the chances of catching COVID-19 on your next flight. Are you flying soon? JetBlue just announced it is going to keep the middle seats open until September, and that announcement comes as more evidence shows sitting in the middle seat could put passengers at increased risk of exposure to COVID-19. An MIT researcher says assuming everyone on the plane is wearing a mask, the chances of being exposed to the coronavirus on a full plane nearly double. That compares to planes where the middle seats are empty.
To say, look, if you're within 6 feet, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 foot or 5 feet, you're at the same level of risk. This bears no relationship to the literature or to physics. I mean, the closer you are, statistically, the greater is the risk.
Right now, American and United are the only two major airlines booking middle seats. The country's second federal execution since 2003 has now been delayed. Wesley Ira Perkey was supposed to be executed about 30 minutes ago at 4 o'clock, but a judge issued an injunction which prohibits the Federal Bureau of Prisons from going forward with it. The judge noted Perkey's dementia and other mental illnesses and ordered the court to further evaluate these claims. Lawyers argue since Perkey can no longer grasp the reason why he's on death row, he shouldn't die. The Justice Department has filed an appeal. The president's expected to announce a rollback on environmental protections, which would make it easier to repair the country's infrastructure. The new federal rule would speed up project reviews to build things like roads, bridges, and gas pipelines. The White House says it will promote the rebuilding of America, but critics say it's dismantling the National Environmental Policy Act.
I'm John Matarese. Is this pandemic a crazy time to buy or sell a house, or is it actually a great idea? I'll let you know what the experts say coming up on WCPO 9 News.
With record unemployment and COVID-19 surging again, we are living in an uncertain economic time. So you might think buying or selling a house right now, well, that would be crazy, right? Consumer reporter John Matarese looks into if it's a good idea as we cover the rebound.
Do you really want to be walking through other people's homes right now? Do you really want other people walking through your home? Well, a new report says as long as everyone wears a mask, this is a great time to buy or sell a house. Seth and Renee Belber almost put off their house hunt this year due to the pandemic, but then decided to take the plunge.
We had been a little reluctant to pull the trigger, but after talking to our agent,